Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and I was about to say super host. And on Airbnb, they have super hosts. And super host, Kaustubha Das, senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Makeover Monday. It's Monday.
Sound like you had a good weekend.
I had a great weekend hanging out with all my Jersey people. The Jersey Shore is a great place to live. It's a great place to visit. And everybody's into Krishna and Bhakti and dancing and chanting. It was like a great weekend. I brought my kids, went to the beach. You know, we danced around. We did some yoga. We had a Hari Katha for 4 hours. We went to Over the Veg, or Life on the Veg, a vegan place that some hardcore guy owns. It was great. Rob, the hardcore guy. And today is Makeover Monday. And Makeover Monday is a place where, you know, whatever you did last week or yesterday, it's over. Whatever you ate at the Jersey Shore, get it out of your mind.
Hopefully it's over.
Little Jersey Shore food. Ate lots of... it's a new day to start our week. It's a day to like sort of recalibrate where you're at. And I tell you, everybody shares it on the Discord thread, what they want to, who they want to become this week, what they want to add to their life. A lot of people are adding, I'm going to chant more, I'm going to read a little bit more, and they write some explicit goal. And what they also do is write things they want to let go of. You know, I'm going to be more regulated with my time online. I will say, in all honesty, sharing a lot of my human foibles. You like that word? A foible?
It's a great
Mara?
word.
Come on, throw me a bone, Mara.
It's a good one.
A human foible. What do you call it? I get sucked in. You know what? There's this thing on Instagram where you watch a video and then it gives you thousands of other video things. I hit that domino and then it's like... That can suck up so much of my time. I'm ready to get rid of Instagram, but I'm not ready to do it. But I can tell you that's my thing. I have to put some parameters on that thing.
Parameters? Okay.
Parameters. It's horrible. The world is an addictive place, and it can really cheat you out of your precious time. That's my realization this morning.
All right.
What do you think about that?
Sounds good. I was thinking we spoke last week about how a yogi talks and about those austerities of speech. I think you could build a nice Makeover Monday around that kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, we do have our non-criticizing. That is actually, I think that was Krishnangi's this week, Krishnangi of Adventure. Mm-hmm. She said no more criticizing. It's really
pretty easy when you're out there all alone on a boat.
Nah, you can think of people to criticize. You sit on that boat. You're looking over at the shore. You're thinking of all the people that are driving you crazy. You start criticizing all the landlubbers. Yeah.
So it's a big day today.
It's
but before we get inside, there's some announcements to make, right?
Well, we have a wonderful announcement that if you've ever had any Beatles questions or Beatles spirituality questions, we have Shama Sundar Das, the Shama Sundar. This is I will say, Shama Sundar Prabhu, this guy, he basically started the Hare Krishna movement, right? I mean, he did such magnificent out of the box spreading of the holy name of the Bhagavatam in the 60s and 70s. It was like
It's incredible.
unbelievable what this guy has done.
You remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were kids, when we were kids, like you'd wake up early in the morning on Saturday and watch cartoons. Did you do that?
I still do it.
Okay. But I remember there used to be.
You guys don't do that?
There's this one. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like these two.
I'll remember.
There was these two like old British guys, and one is interviewing the other, and one's like this adventurer, and the other one's like asking him questions about all his adventures. And I remember it started with like it was like spinning the globe. They're like spinning the globe, and this one guy's interviewing this adventurer. And he's talking about like all these incredible things that he's done in his life, just like mind-blowing things, like how, a dam was breaking and he somehow got tons of sponges and like sucked it all off.
I remember that was a part of Underdog.
Okay, it was related to Underdog. I knew it was
Part of
connected to
Underdog,
another one.
yeah.
Okay, it's part of Underdog.
Just dated ourselves.
We got to look.
It was Commander McBragg.
Very good.
Commander
Very
McBragg.
good.
Thank
All
you.
right, so
You don't
Commander
understand.
McBragg.
That's how I was raised. I can name you every television show, every cartoon. I can even name the commercials that were on.
Okay.
That's how pathetically sad I am.
So like Shama Sundar, he's like a Commander McBragg. The guy's done everything. He's got like these crazy wild adventures, Basically, he was part of like the whole beatnik scene that sprung the whole hippie movement, like starting in San Francisco back in like the early 60s. He knew all of those people that were like involved in it, the Grateful Dead, Allen Ginsberg, just like the Owlsley.
Janis Joplin, Moby Grape. We interviewed Moby. We should interview Moby Grape now. I'm sure they have some good stories.
Moby Grape. And he was close friends with the manager of the Grateful Dead, who was also, these were
his roommate.
They were roommate, but these are people that kind of launched like a whole kind of change of consciousness, in America that spread throughout the whole world. Then he went to London, turned the Beatles onto Bhakti. Then he went to India and just had incredible adventures with Prabhupada there. Then he went to, behind the Iron Curtain to the Soviet Union and planted the seeds of Bhakti, which is just like totally flourished.
Totally criminal.
He's a man of like wild adventure.
Wild adventure. Even his regular adventures in life. He told
Super
me
crazy.
he told me he had two lines. Is this in his book, Mara?
His book starts with him like in South America, like in the jungles, like being chased by like some kind of jungle cat or something like that.
I was
trying to survive.
I was talking about New York City because I lived in New York City and he lived in New York City. He goes, "Oh yeah, I remember living in New York City. I had two lions in my apartment." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I actually had two lions." I go, "Where'd you get them?" He goes, "I won them in a bet." They were cubs when I started, but they started getting bigger. Did they tell? Is that in the book?
Yeah, I don't think that's in the book. I remember him.
A lot
telling
of
us
not
that
in the book stuff.
Yeah.
He actually had two full-grown lions in his apartment in New York City.
But the thing is, he was right there from the beginning of the launch of Bhakti Yoga throughout the Western world. It's history, and he, there are three couples, he and his wife and two other couples, who, in my mind, in one sense, nobody knew Srila Prabhupada like they did, and. Yeah. And the affectionate relationship that they had and the mood that Prabhupada had of like, I've got not much life left. I want to travel this world and spread bhakti far and wide. And it was like they believed that magic could happen at any moment, that like miracles could happen at any moment. And they actually lived it all out. And it's such an incredible story.
That was, and he lived with the Beatles. He lived with
You're
John
fixated
Lennon,
on the Beatles.
and he lived with John Lennon. I mean, well, I think we're going to pick his brain about the Beatles and the Beatles, because the Beatles were such a big influencer.
I think we got to talk about the Beatles, but not only the Beatles. That's
not only the Beatles, but
not
the
only
Beatles.
Okay,
Not
we'll
only
talk about the
but the
Beatles.
Beatles. Hey, look, between you and I don't even like the Beatles. All
What?
right? I don't like them.
You just lost half our listeners. Everybody loves the Beatles. If you don't like the Beatles, there's something
I know
wrong with
everybody
you.
does like the Beatles. I don't like the Beatles that much. My kids love the Beatles. I don't like the Beatles. I
What's
like a
that?
couple songs. I love that song, George. I love George Harrison's songs, a few of them. You
All
know,
right.
I can
That's
still like.
strange, Roga.
I don't mind if people don't like Shelter and they like, you know what I mean?
But the
I
Beatles
probably
are
would
like
love them
way
as
better
people.
than Shelter. It's like a very different thing.
Anyway, I like some of the Beatles songs. I just don't like.
Okay.
I'm a walrus. I'm a walrus. I don't like it.
All right.
I
We'll let you go
get
on the
it. I don't even
walrus
get
one.
it. I don't even know what that means. I'm a walrus.
They had a lot of other songs besides that one. That was like them and their weirdest thing. But beyond that, there's another big announcement.
Anyway,
that
I
is-
think it's cool that you live with John Lennon. You must have some good stories to tell.
I know, but there's more than that.
These guys were like on the cutting edge of bringing Eastern spirituality to like making it like putting it in the conversation of life. There's so many interesting stories I can go with this. We got to. If anyone's got any good Beatles questions, because I'm not going to ask them because I don't even know the Beatles. Ask them now. Ask them. Send them to Mara. Send them to
And
Mara.
and
Wisdom of
beyond
the
that,
Sages 108 at gmail.com.
and beyond that, it doesn't have to be just about the Beatles.
Doesn't have to be just the Beatles.
He also spent time with a person named Srila Prabhupada, whose
Yes.
books we read every day.
Yeah, we
who
can-
spread bhakti around the entire world. That's there too.
Yes. Well, here's what I was thinking of. You could put a thing like Kaustubha makes those beautiful you know, Kaustubha's the artist behind Wisdom of the Sages. He makes all this beautiful art, all those
bring it
posters, all the
in.
flyers. And so I was thinking you make some cool Beatles thing.
No, I don't.
You know what I mean? Shama Sundar.
Oh no, I'm
Beatles.
working on one. I'm not a Beatles thing. My thing was more like a San Francisco '60s thing. I'm playing around with. It's ready to go. We just got to get the exact time
Slip
down.
the Beatles in there, man. People love the Beatles.
The George
They
Harrison's
sold
in it.
millions of records.
George
you know?
Harrison's in it, and basically I ripped it off of something else that was someone else. It's like a collage, and then I just added it to that.
I know, but I'm just saying, add more.
George Harrison's
Beatles,
there.
like the Yellow
George
Submarine. Put that in there,
Right,
perhaps.
okay,
People will be attracted to it. They love the Beatles.
But I'll release that today if we can nail down the time, because we're not sure what the time will be when we interview him.
we think it's going to be noonish Eastern time because he lives in the West Coast.
We need the exact time, and then I'll release that image. But there's another big announcement too. This is a big one. Is that we just celebrated Janmashtami, which is Krishna's birthday, last week, and we had a special guest. We had Raghunath Swami on for that.
Yes.
Well, he's gonna come back.
He's back.
He's coming back for Radhastami, for Radharani's birthday, which is exactly 2 weeks later. So that's not tomorrow, but the following Tuesday, we'll have Raghunath Swami discuss the glories of Srimati Radharani, maybe his adventures in Varshana, the birthplace of.
Oh, this will be good. This will be great. Thank you for that. That's good news.
We got over 60, something like around 70,000 views.
Really?
Yeah, I mean 60-something thousand on Facebook. I mean, views doesn't mean someone watched the whole thing, but
Whatever. That means
it
they
means
viewed
tens
it.
of thousands of people are watching the whole thing. You know, so that's it's something, right? So we'll bring him back. He's kindly agreed to come back
That's great.
for Radhastami. I'm looking forward to that.
That's great.
All right.
And we're going to get into the second canto today.
Well, that's the other big thing, right? We started a new canto today.
We start a new canto. There's 12 cantos in all. We're on number 2.
Yeah.
We're going to go through this.
Maybe we could do a quick review of Canto 1.
Sure. Hey, I wanted to say, Kaustubha, if you're one of the others, the others out there that are not on our morning class, we get a bit, excuse me, like choke on my mushroom drink. If you're one of the others out there, meaning we don't see your face in the morning and we don't really know you that well, let us know you're out there. We'd love to hear from you. If the podcast has helped you on your journey home, pick up your iPhone or go to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review and tell everyone your story, how you got here, how the podcast has helped you. We love to read those things, and other people love to read them too. So please post it there on Apple Podcasts.
Because
And-
we get them, but not everybody else gets to see them.
Yeah, sometimes we're having people send us emails about them, and we see them, we get inspired. But put it out there on Apple Podcasts too, and that way the whole community gets to hear about your story. And I tell you, I am always inspired by everybody else's story.
All right, me too.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Shall we get into it?
Yes. Let's start with our secret mantras. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha.
All right, you ready?
Take it, Kaustubha.
So let's do a quick overview of the first canto,
Sure.
and then let's do a quick overview of the second canto, like a preview,
Okay.
and then let's get into it. Right. So there you could divide the first canto into 5 different sections. Chapters 1 through 3 deal with 6 questions asked by the sages at Naimisharanya to Sutta Goswami. They ask him 6 questions. They ask him in the first chapter. They ask him, what is the ultimate benefit of mankind? What is the essence of all the scriptures? And that all has to do with bhakti. For what reason did Krishna take birth from Devaki? And that is to come and reclaim the fallen souls who have attained sattvaguna. And describe the wonderful deeds of the Lord when he assumed the forms of Brahma and Rudra and how he creates. Describe the activities of the Lord's incarnations. And then the big question is, now that Krishna has left, where has Dharma taken shelter of? And the answer to that is the Srimad-Bhagavatam itself. So those questions were asked in the first chapter, and they were answered in the second and third chapters. And then chapters 4 through 6 deal with the history of the Bhagavatam, the appearance of Narada, and then Narada's instructions to Vyasadeva about writing the Bhagavatam. And so that's chapters 4 through 6. And then chapters 7 through 11, we hear about Krishna as Bhaktavatsala, how Krishna is affectionate to his devotees, particularly to the Pandavas. And so those chapters we hear about the son of Drona punished, how he protects Parikshit in the womb of Uttara, how Queen Kunti comes and offers her prayers, about how Bhishma passes away and the Pandavas and Yudhishthira come and ask him questions and they get instructions, about how Krishna leaves to Dwarka and then how Krishna enters Dwarka. So that's all about Krishna's affection for his devotees. And then through chapters 12 through 14, we heard about the departure of Krishna and the Pandavas, how Parikshit is born, how Dhritarashtra leaves Hastinapur and goes off to practice yoga, and then how all the Pandavas retire and so on, and the disappearance of Krishna. And then the last 3 chapters, chapters 16 through 19, or last 4 chapters, they describe the character of King Parikshit. And this is the person that's going to ask all the questions in the Bhagavatam. And so we heard about how he received the age of Kali, how he dealt with Kali, how he became cursed by the Brahmin boy Shringi, how he accepted that curse. And then we hear about how he prepares for that curse. He goes out to the river, all the sages gather, Shukadeva Goswami appears. And then he asked questions to Shukadeva Goswami. We got to hear the first of his questions yesterday. We're going to come back to that. So that's the first canto, right? You with me, Raghu, or are you totally bored right now?
You are expert, my friend.
No, I'm just following the study guides. That's all.
Well, whatever.
Okay. Now,
Just
the
appreciate it.
second canto is really very cool canto. It's got 10 chapters. The first 3 will speak of how Bhakti Yoga is the conclusion of all the yoga paths. It's going to compare it to Ashtanga Yoga, and it's going to describe how there's the attached Ashtanga Yogi that meditates on the universal form. There's the detached Ashtanga Yogi that meditates on the Paramatma within the heart, and that these practices can award liberation, but only Bhakti can deliver prema, pure love of God. It's going to compare Bhakti to Karma Kunda, to demigod worship, to liberation through Jnana Yoga. And so that'll all be in the first 3 chapters. Chapters 4 through 7 will describe Sarga and Visarga, the first level of creation, how Lord Vishnu creates all the material ingredients, and the second level of creation, how Brahma takes those ingredients and creates all the different varieties of living beings. And this comes through an incredible conversation between Narada and Brahma. Right? These are like the earliest conversations in the history of the universe, right?
Pretty interesting.
It's really some beautiful conversations there. And then chapters 8 through 10, Maharaj Pariksit reveals his enthusiasm for practice, for Bhakti Yoga, hearing about it. And he'll place 21 questions before Shukadeva Goswami in those chapters. And the answers will come out between more conversations between Narada and Brahma. And then we get introduced to an incredible conversation that's going to carry out through the next several cantos, which is a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. And those are just beautiful questions and incredible answers. And we'll get to hear the first prayers in the universe. There's so much great stuff in there. So second canto is going to be great. I should also mention that you and I discussed that as we move into the later cantos now that we've got out of the first canto, we may occasionally take a subject from what we're reading and veer off and go into Bhagavad Gita for a few days, or go into
Veer off. It's Kaustubha's transcendental version of chasing squirrels.
Okay. Well,
where I may take it to UFOs, he takes it to other sacred literatures.
Right.
By the way, the more I read and study the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the more I realize the whole thing's about UFOs. The whole thing is about alien beings coming and visiting us.
Well, I swear, you put up a photograph the other day on Instagram on the beach, and I swear there was a child alien with a boogie board in the photograph.
That was my son.
I don't believe it. I believe that it was an alien. You're just trying to cover it up. Like the government is covering it up. You're trying to cover it up. Okay, so now let's get started. But this second canto, the beginning of the second canto, is all going to stem out of the questions that were placed before Shukadeva Goswami by Maharaj Pariksit in the last chapter in text 37 and in 38. And what he's going to ask him is this. He's going to say, Shukadeva Goswami, he's just looking at him, right? There he is. He's totally transcendental. Right? Everyone can feel it. Everybody knows it. He's the son of Vyasadeva, and even Vyasadev's like, worldly compared to Shukadeva Goswami.
Yeah.
And it's just obvious. It's obvious in his physiognomy. It's obvious in his presence.
Good one.
And
physiognomy.
Physiognomy, I think is.
I think it's physiognomy. I think you got it right the first time.
No, but there's an N in there, I think. Mara, could you look that up? Physiognomy or something.
Physiognomy. I didn't mean to derail the train.
Okay. They're looking at his physiognomy.
I didn't mean to derail the Radharani Express. Remember that train in Vrindavan, the
Radharani Express?
Isn't that cool?
Does it still run?
I don't think so. No. But I've taken the Jagannath Express to Jagannath.
I've taken the Jagannath Express.
Taken that? Isn't that great?
Yeah. Have you taken the Rajdhani?
I love the Rajdhani.
All right.
Fastest train.
See, it is physiognomy.
There, the question was, is the...
I think the G is silent.
Physiognomy.
Physiognomy.
Physiognomy. Well, that's a whole different
Physiognomy. Physiognomy?
You know, we should have a word a day. Learn a word a day on this class. Because then you'll feel, okay, you know, I'm learning something too. Even if the spiritual stuff isn't true, I'm learning words.
Okay, here's a word for you for today. Samsiddhim. Samsiddhim. That's the word for today. You know what that is? It's the path to perfection.
Samsiddhim.
Yeah, like samsiddhim haritoshanam. That came up,
a lot of
in this. But here in text 1937, which we read last week, Maharaj Pariksit is going to turn to Shukadeva Goswami and say, Yoginam Paramam Gurum, you are the guru of the great saints and the devotees, right? And he says, Ata Prachami Sangsiddhim. So I beg to inquire from you about the path of perfection, the way to perfection. Sangsiddhim, today's word. All right? And then he says, Purusheshayaha Yat Karyam Mriyam Manasya Sarvata. Tell me, for all persons, and particularly for people who are about to die, what should they do? Right? What is their duty? And then in the next verse, he says, Yach Trotavyam, what should they hear? Ato Japyam, what should they chant? Smartavyam, Bhajaniyam, what should they remember and worship? And then he says, Bruhi Yad Va Viparyayam. Please explain what they shouldn't do. Okay? So what should they hear? What should they chant? What should they remember and worship? And please also explain what they shouldn't do. All right? You with
Sort
me?
of a makeover Monday.
Yes, a makeover Monday.
What should I not do? What should I be doing?
Okay.
What should I add to my life? What should I let go of?
So today we're going to read, hopefully we read like through the first 4 verses. And this is going to start like what you should. First, he's going to say, great questions. Thank you. Good questions. And then he's going to start talking about what you shouldn't do. Okay. Tomorrow's going to get more positive. Today's going to be one of those Mondays where it's going to be like, we're going to get the negative side. All right. All right. So let us begin. Canto 2, chapter 2. I'm sorry, chapter 1. And it begins with an invocation.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances to you.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, so this is the 16-year-old boy, my dear king, your question is glorious because it is beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists.
Is Transcendentalist approved? I'm a Transcendentalist and I approve of this subject matter for hearing.
Hi, I'm Sukadeva Goswami. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. This is a great one, isn't it? Because I think of myself, and I think of myself wanting to always listen to mundane things. You know, if you're attracted to the news or attracted to the weather, some people leave the weather on all day long. Not even
want
the
some
news,
company.
just the weather. Maybe they want some company, or maybe they're interested in what's going on in the weather. I don't know. But those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing. So this is the thing. This
Speaking
is
of hearing, I think you got to pull your mic just a little bit in front of you.
closer. All right, hold on. Okay.
Let's read the commentary on this. Or, but if you want to comment on it.
Here's my commentary. It's just sort of like food. If you're addicted to, you know, there's some people like I met some lady the other day and we're talking about vegetarianism and she's like, oh, I don't eat vegetables. I was thinking, what the hell? You don't eat vegetables? I'm an adult. Come on. It's one thing if you're 14 and you say that, but it's like, I don't eat vegetables. It's like, what are you eating on a regular basis? So what are you hearing on a regular basis? So for the yogi, for the transcendentalist, for the Bhakti-yogi, we are hearing food for the soul. Not just food for the soul, not just speaking truth, not just speaking kindly, not just seeing the good in others. That's like organic food. We want superfood. Superfood for the souls mean hearing wisdom literature that's explaining how to escape the Maya out of this world, how to embrace the Krishna in this world, hearing transcendental pastimes, Hari Katha, or speaking about the Lord, speaking about Ram Leela, Krishna Leela, the avatars of Vishnu. This stuff is like superfood for the soul. When you hear this, you can just sit and listen and you feel like you've been transported somewhere. So it's not just that we have this like we don't, like as yogis we don't put just any random. I'm not going to sit there and eat cotton candy all weekend, although I did.
Did you really?
Just kidding.
Okay, I was gonna say that's something I can't even imagine eating anymore. It's like
I can. They make this really good stuff up here. Maple cotton candy.
like if there's like some of that saltwater taffy, they always got that like by the
Yeah,
beach
I
kind of
like that
places.
too.
That I could go for.
Beach food.
Even though it's I don't know how much. Once I tried it, I probably could. It's just like
Fudge.
it's crazy. It's like eating
They eat lots of fudge and Long Beach.
that I could definitely see, but like cotton candy, I don't know. Just can't see.
Anyway, the point is you can't just eat junk food. You'll feel like junk. You can't hear junky, mundane things on a regular basis. First of all,
You get sick. You throw up.
It
puke.
not only gets you sick, you get more addicted to it. You get lost into this. You know, the worst is politics, I find. The politics go back and forth and back and forth. It gets you like, it draws you in, makes you hate others. And I'm not even care what side of politics. It just makes you hate and makes you find people outside of your circle. We need food.
So you're saying that we should never hear anything about politics?
You know, I dip your toe into it, truthfully.
Okay.
The more you dip into it, the more you become immersed into it. Unless that's your gig. Otherwise, I'd be careful. In my life, I got to be careful about it.
That's my point. Let's be careful about it. Yeah.
Be careful about it.
Okay.
You know, I'm not saying never eat cotton candy. I'm just saying careful.
Okay.
But we need spiritual food for the soul. Stuff that when you walk away, you feel like, yeah, I'm nourished. Yeah, I feel good. Yeah, I feel strong. Those persons were materially engrossed, being blind to
Hold on. Oh, okay. You're reading.
I'm just
this
reading
one
the
again.
same thing just to
Okay.
emphasize.
Gotcha. Do it.
To emphasize.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This world is temporary. We have an eternal reality. We don't exist. This isn't even. This is our. I'm giving some absolute truth here. This is our temporary family. This is it. This isn't the whole thing. This is a page in the life of the encyclopedia of my existence. This is one page in the encyclopedia of my existence, and I'm taking it as all so real. And I've been here with for many lifetimes, and there's another whole part of myself that I've neglected. This is what the Bhagavatam is asking us, to zoom out and see ourselves in a much bigger picture, much bigger than this puny world and the ups and downs of this world. And I have to connect with that self. I've neglected it my entire life. So the Bhagavatam, we see what's going on in front of us. I told that story of Maharaj Chitraketu, who wanted a son and he had a son. I tell the story a lot. It's from the Bhagavatam. But it's like an important story to hear because the father wanted a son. He went to the mystic. The mystic gave him a son under the condition that the son would cause him the greatest joy and the greatest misery. And so he said, yeah, I'll still take the son. So he had the son. He was happy with the son. He loved the son. The mother loved the son. Everyone was excited because he was a king and he was the heir to the throne. But then he had two queens. Everybody was happy except the other queen, because that other queen was getting neglected. So her and her maids killed the son.
You told this story just the other day on the show. Just so you don't go too long into it.
You could have stopped me 3 sentences ago. Anyway,
I didn't know. I saw. Okay, he's getting into it.
He's not going to tell the story again, will he? Anyway, now I have to finish. Anyway, my point is, we told this story in class.
Okay.
You cry when you hear the story. This father, his son died. This is so sad. and the mother cries, and even the people are tearing up when they hear, oh, and the father wants to say goodbye to the son. But the son, when he gets brought back to life for a moment, he says, I've had millions of fathers. Which father are you? And you're sort of like, what? You're breaking my heart, kid. This father loves you. So sure, we feel that sweetness from a father and a son having this love. But then all of a sudden we feel like, oh, we zoom out. There's a bigger picture. We've all had many lives. We've all had many parents. We've had many children. Your father could be your son in your next life. Mm-hmm. Zooming out of the thick of the thin. I mean, the thick of it. And there's so much more to me. The Bhagavatam is not going to give you these sentimental, sweet solutions to your problems. It's going to make you zoom out, and sometimes it's going to cut some of these attachments that we have. It chops away the illusions.
Oh, nice. Now, why don't we go ahead and read through text 4, and then we'll come back.
Why don't we go ahead and keep reading, Raghunath?
No. Well, my point is this. No, because what you were just said relates to some of these other verses. So if we read this whole purport now, we may lose that thread.
Because I already told the story, and then Kaustubha reminded me, and I sort of stopped. Did everybody was it cohesive, that story?
Yeah.
The story, so maybe it was. Okay. I'm sure if people heard that for the first time, did it make sense?
Well, if they're listening to the show regularly, they just heard it last week.
Okay.
Like 2 shows ago or something.
All right. Text 3. The lifetime of such envious householders. So we were referring to the people who are absorbed in material life, materially engrossed. The lifetime of such envious householders is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, or both. And in the daytime, either in making money or maintaining family members. They make it sound like it's so bad. Oh my God, they worked hard and made money for their family.
Well, actually, what Prabhupada says here is the materialistic way of life is described herein in a nutshell. It means you're doing nothing more than this, right? Gotcha. It's described here in a nutshell, and how foolishly people waste the boon of human life is described as follows. And then that's text 4.
Okay.
Hit it.
Text 4. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva.
Well, there's a word for the day.
Atma Tattva. That's a Sanskrit word of the day. When I said word of the day, I meant like an English vocabulary word.
Yeah, but why not have a nice,
I think we should have both. We should have Sanskrit phrase or Sanskrit word and an English vocabulary word.
Okay, well, here's one right now. Here's a Sanskrit one.
Knowledge of the self, or the truth of what the Atma is. The Atma Tattva. Write that down there, divine couple, Elizabeth and Daniel. That's for you guys. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life. So what are the problems of life? This is it. Being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, the children, the husband or the wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? The zooming out.
That's why I said let's read forward. You see?
See, there's some method to my madness.
Connecting.
There's some method here. So it's not bad to love your children, to love your spouse, to take care of your body.
Quite good.
It's quite good to do those things in the smallest picture. But in the zooming out picture, if I take care of all those things, but neglect who I am, why am I here? I can get almost absorbed in the drama of the family. And there has to be some care for the soul. There has to be some care for spirit. And I have to ultimately understand that none of this is mine. Meaning I can't hold on to any of this stuff. These are huge lessons. The Bhagavatam, as interesting as these stories are, it really ages well as you age. You know what I mean?
It's more relevant.
More relevant. Like if you're reading Sports Illustrated, Better Homes and Gardens, or I don't know, whatever people read. What do people read? Or Mara's just laughing there. I don't know, whatever. Suppose you're reading The Hardy Boys or some mystery. Like if you read
going back further into.
I'm going back
Say you're reading the comic books.
Or a comic book, whatever it is. If you're reading Spider-Man at age 10, it's pretty cool. If you're reading Spider-Man at age 30, pretty weird, right? If you're reading Spider-Man at age 60, real weird. So there's certain books that age well with you. The Bhagavatam ages real well. It becomes more and more. I find it more and more relevant as I get older. What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
Well, certainly it speaks to you in special ways as you start to get older, for sure.
Oh man, yeah. It's almost like a flower. It's pretty, and then it blossoms more. Oh, very, very pretty. You go blossom and melt, very fragrant and pretty.
Starts to wilt.
Well, let me get there. It doesn't wilt.
Well, I thought that's what you're going to say. So when it starts to, oh, you're saying the Bhagavatam is like that.
Yeah, the Bhagavatam starts.
Okay, I thought you meant like material life can be like that too, right? It starts
yeah,
to
that's
blossom.
another analogy.
It starts to wilt. Okay.
But yeah, I think this book ages very well. I'm getting a lot out of it now that I'm north of 50.
Okay. That sounds like a song right there, north of 50.
North of 50! No, 50!
I wonder did you and Parmananda sit in a room together and write songs? Because I'd imagine like, okay, this could be a song, and then you'd do something like that.
No.
Okay, so let's go back to text 3 and let's read the commentary to this one, okay?
Please.
This verse again was the lifetime of such envious householders.
Well,
Is Pat? Yeah.
Well, what are we supposed to pass our time in? The night.
Hearing Bhagavatam, discussing spiritual life, chanting the holy names, Kirtan, Shravanam,
night?
Kirtanam, Vishnu
At
Smaranam, Padasevanam, Arjanam,
Well,
Vandanam,
listen,
Dasyam, Sakyam. That's what you're supposed to spend your time doing.
No, it says the
Practicing
life of
yoga.
such envious householders is passed at night, either in sleeping or sex indulgence.
Well, in other words, this is saying here's
What
the
is my
day and
other
here's the
option?
night.
Sleeping, sex indulgence, or what?
Reading Bhagavatam.
At
How
night?
about Sweet baby, yes, at night. Sweet baby Krishna. Haven't you done
Not
that?
at night. You got to sleep at night.
Well, that's the evening,
Oh, in the evening? You
Yeah.
can say the evening. Instead
Well,
of night.
in other words, you could be having sex or you could be doing reading Bhagavatam. Right? but this was before television, so they could say, they waste their night watching television, having sex, and sleeping.
And
Right?
sleep.
But so it's saying here's your day and here's your night. Where's the room for your spiritual life? Where's the room for reality? Where's the room for transcending your materialistic life? Right. So it says the lifetime of such envious householders is passed at night, either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime, either in making money or maintaining family members. Now, let's hear the purport. Prabhupada's going to explain this more.
Yes.
Ready? The present human civilization is primarily based on the principles of sleeping and sex indulgence at night and earning money in the day and spending the same for family maintenance. Such a form of human civilization is condemned by the Bhagavat school.
Condemning.
Raghunath's wrestling with that. Hold it, man. It means only
Your
that.
sleeping is condemned. Even at night. Even at night.
Sleeping is condemned.
Even at night, it's condemned.
Because
Well, I'm
human
not even getting to sex yet. I'm just talking about sleeping is condemned.
because human life.
Tired. There's a whole movement right now, like, you got to sleep more. You ever notice these people? They're always like,
I have seen that kind of stuff.
You need to sleep.
Because human life is a combination of matter and spirit soul.
I hate sleep.
Raghunath, you got to let us hear this purport, okay? Can I get through one sentence?
Go on, please.
Because human life is a combination of matter and spirit soul, not just matter. It's a combination of matter and spirit soul. The whole process of Vedic knowledge is directed at liberating the spirit soul from the contamination of matter. The knowledge concerning this is called Atma Tattva.
Atma Tattva.
Got to make a little room for Atma Tattva. Make a little, that's all he's saying. Make some room for Atma Tattva.
Make a little room for Atma Tattva. That's my new tattoo.
Those people who are too materialistic are unaware of this knowledge and are more inclined to economic development for material enjoyment. Okay?
There we go.
That becomes the entire focus. Such materialistic men are called karmis, or fruit of laborers.
You know what's funny?
What?
Well, because in the yoga community,
They
like
say, yeah.
they always say, "Yeah, I'm a
What is
karmi
it?
yogi." Like if you study the Bhagavatam, a karmi is like it's considered not a good thing. You karmi, you're such like a karmi. Karmi means you work because you want some results.
Right.
So when you work for in devotion, it's considered you're a bhakta. It's a very high thing. But for when we say the person's a karmi, that means they have some motive, they have some agenda. But a lot of times in the yoga community, people say, "Yeah, I'm a karmi," like they're proud of it. I'm a karmi. I'm a karmi yogi. It's great. I work at the front desk and I get free yoga classes. I love being a karmi.
So here it says
Come
the
on, Mara,
karmi.
back me up.
Here it
Mara's
says,
just like silent.
here it says the karmis are devoid of Atma Tattva knowledge.
Yes.
And as such, their life is spent without spiritual profit. The human life is not meant for hard labor for economic development, nor is it meant for sex indulgence like that of, and sure, Prabhupada, he just gets blunt here, right?
Like that of a hog and a dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Really? That's what he said?
Yes, that's exactly
I
what
just
it says.
guessed.
Yeah.
Not meant for sex life like a hog and a dog.
He says that it is specially meant for making a solution to the problems of material life and the miseries thereof. All right, that's what human life is meant for, right? It's just saying make room for that. Why are you laughing uncontrollably,
Keep
Raghunath?
going, man.
Let's go back. Actually, what I really want to read was the commentary to the second text. Keep compose yourself, Raghunath.
Sorry.
Compose yourself. He's saying that if we don't take up Atma Tattva, if we don't inquire into deeper spiritual knowledge about life, then basically we're living the life. We have a human form, but we're not taking it beyond what the animals do. It's simple, right?
Yeah, it's that simple.
Okay. Here's part of the commentary. Let's read to text 2, which said, those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. All right. He says, in the revealed scriptures, there are 2 nomenclatures. There's a word for you.
Nomenclature. There, write that one down.
I don't even know what nomenclature
It
means.
means like a name.
Okay, no, yeah. Okay, there you go. In the revealed scriptures, there are 2 nomenclatures for the householder life. So it's not saying householder life is bad, but there's 2 varieties of it.
2 varieties of householders.
Okay.
The hogs and the dogs?
No.
One variety.
One is the grihasta,
The grihasta.
and the other is?
Mara, you got this one?
Mara.
Come on.
Grihamadi?
Yeah,
Grihamedi.
Grihamedi.
Grihamadi.
Yeah, Grihamedi.
Materially engrossed like the dogs and the hogs.
That's right. The grihastas are those who live together with wife and children, but live transcendentally for realizing the ultimate truth.
So we have a lot of spiritual householders on this show.
Grihastas.
And a couple of Grihamedis in there.
Okay. So I'll read that.
Mating season.
What's that?
Do dogs have a mating season, or are they always?
Raghunath, where are we going? Why are you getting into?
Because we're using the analogy of dogs and hogs a lot.
Okay.
Some animals have a specific time where they mate, and sometimes some animals just mate all year long.
And that was just a curiosity of yours?
It's just a curiosity. Just a curiosity. I was hoping Mara, because she's our finder, Google that up.
Okay. Mara, you work on that. If by the end of the show you could get that for us, we would appreciate
Dogs
it.
have a mating season, or if they're just always in heat.
Now, meanwhile, let's get back. One nomenclature is grihasta, and the other is grihamedi. The grihastas are those who live together with wife and children, but live transcendentally for realizing the ultimate truth. The grihamedis, however, are those who live only for the benefit of the family members, extended or centralized, and thus are envious of others. Now he's talking about if we don't see on the level of spirit, then we limit the circle of our compassion, of our love, right?
Well, it's an us versus them. It's sort of like what
Then
we're
it
trying
becomes
to get rid of.
Yeah, competition. The word medhi indicates jealousy of others. The griha medhis, being interested in family affairs only, are certainly envious of others. Envious here can also mean like hostile to others, right?
It's a good husband and wife practice
What
to
is
not criticize other families. Just like we say we don't criticize others, it's a good husband and wife practice.
the gossip?
Not gossip about other families. Oh, look how they're doing it. Look how they're raising their children. Look how they're not breastfeeding, or they should. Look how they, whatever it is, it's breastfeeding.
Or how they decorate their home or whatever.
Yeah.
Things like that. Okay. Therefore, one griha medhi is not on good terms with another griha medhi. And in the extended form, one community, society, or nation is not on good terms with another counterpart of selfish interests. Right?
Yep.
In the age of Kali, all the householders are jealous of one another because they are blind to the knowledge of the absolute truth.
Yep.
They have many subject matters of hearing. First one, Raghu hit, political, scientific, social, economic, and so on. But due to a poor fund of knowledge, they set aside the question of the ultimate miseries of life, namely miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Factually.
That should be on the cover of like the New York Times today. This just in, we're going to get old. We're going to get diseased. We're going to die. That's like the big, that's the big bad news.
Talk about how we're going to get past that today.
Yeah.
Factually, the human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to birth, death, old age, and disease. But the griha medhis, being illusioned by the material nature, forget everything about self-realization. The ultimate solution to the problems of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and thus, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 8:16, the miseries of material existence, birth, death, old age, and disease are removed. Okay? He says the process of going back home, back to God, it is to hear about the Supreme Lord and his name, form, attributes, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. Foolish people do not know this. Prabhupada, it sounds heavy when he says it, but it's just kind of like just factual in a way. Right?
It sounds heavy, but he just means.
Yeah, I mean, if you have serious problems coming your way and you're not aware of them or not dealing with them, then it's foolish.
We're going to call that foolish.
Yeah. Foolish people do not know this. They want to hear something about the name, form, etc. of everything temporary. Isn't it crazy? Like the way you get news today, like you get on one of these things like Yahoo News or something like that, and you want to see
News.
but like half of it's just like celebrity garbage, and even that is just like the Kardashians.
I mean, I should just open the news right now, just so you can look at how limited the news is of the entire planet. Didn't we have this conversation?
It's like, why are we talking about these people, right? It's like,
did we talk about this yesterday?
About what?
About the news and how limited it is, and you're only hearing it from a few countries.
Yeah.
Right.
But my point is, even that, it's just like, why are we talking about the Kardashians? Why are we talking, like, we want to hear about the name, the form, the et cetera, et cetera.
We want to hear about the name and the form of the Kardashians, do we?
No, but they keep feeding it to us, right? It's
Here's the form of the Kardashians.
It's leave me alone. Yeah. They want to hear something about the name, form, et cetera, of everything temporary. And they do not know how to utilize this propensity of hearing for the ultimate good. Misguided as they are, they also create some false literatures about the name, form, attributes, etc. of the ultimate truth. One should not therefore become a griha medhi. That's the message for today. Simply to exist for envying others, one should become a real householder in terms of the scriptural injunctions.
Booyah!
All right. So that's some, that's Joanne's right there. All right. That was the negative side. Tomorrow we're going to get to the positive side. All right.
All right. Negative and positive.
That's what not to do.
The griha medhis are those who hate on the fellow Joneses while trying to keep up with the Joneses. Thanks for that, you guys. We got a good chat board going on today.
Mara, have you figured out about the mating season thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So female dogs go into heat twice a year.
And
But male dogs are able.
Dogs are always in
They're
heat.
always able to. Yeah,
I was
like
laughing. I was laughing because Rachel's dog she brought her dog to the weekend, and she was just like, while Rachel was talking to someone, the dog was like on the guy's leg. And I was like, oh, what a sweet dog you have. I was like, don't you understand? This dog's trying to have sex with you. You're petting him. He's just getting more attracted to you. Oh. Anyway, thanks, everybody. It was Bob Healy's leg.
Thanks, Naked Viking, for that image.
Share that. Oh, hey, is there a yoga class today? What's going on? It's Monday, Mara.
No yoga class today, but tomorrow Damodar Swarup is teaching at 10 a.m.
Damodar Swarup. We love Damodar Swarup.
Yep.
If you want to join our yoga school, you can join it. We have a whole online yoga thing going on. It's on patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. If you like what we do, you can support us there. We also have a vault, a truckload of various other workshops and other classes that are backlogged for thousands of years of yoga classes going on. You can just scroll down and take yoga classes with very evolved yoga teachers. And all you got to do is go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. And you make a monthly pledge, and that keeps our little boat floating. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Thanks to all the others out there. Remember, others, you got to go to Apple Podcasts and tell us your story. Tell us about your journey home and how Bhakti's affected your life. And if you haven't done that yet, we want to know who you are. So even if you're listening here this morning with our big gang of Zoomies, you got to do that.
Got to pull the mic closer, Raghu.
You got to do that. You got to get there on... Yes, if you'd like to join us live on Zoom, you email Mara. And remember also, if you want to send in a question about the Beatles for Shama Sundar for Sundays.
Or other topics.
Or other topics. Don't do the other topics, just the Beatles. Email Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. I'm just going to sing right now. I'm sick of talking. Gentlemen, oh, yeah.